So you've probably done this a million times, right? You type a question into a little chat window on a website. Hey, what's the status of my order? And boom, just a second later, a friendly, helpful response pops up. It feels so easy, so seamless, almost like magic. But what is really going on behind that screen? Today, we're going to peel back the curtain on this technology that is, let's be honest, changing just about everything. Because here's the thing, when you're talking to an AI, you're not just talking to some lines of code. You're actually interacting with this incredibly complex system that's been built on decades of history, mountains of data, and a surprising amount of hidden human work. Okay, let's get into it. All right, first up, let's talk about the chatbots that we bump into pretty much every day. On the surface, they might all seem kind of the same, but under the hood, they're working in completely different ways. Really, you can split chatbots into two main camps. On one side, you have the simple rule-based bots. We've all used these. They're like a glorified decision tree. Click this button, use this specific keyword. They're fine for really basic questions, but the second you go off script, they totally fall apart. On the other side, you've got the AI-powered chatbots. Now, these are the ones that can actually understand what you're trying to say, even if you have a typo, and can hold a much more natural back-and-forth conversation. And this technology didn't just pop up out of nowhere. The journey started way back in 1966 with a program called ELIZA. It was shockingly good at pretending to be a therapist, mostly by just spotting keywords and turning your own questions back at you. Then in '95, we got Alice, which was a bit more sophisticated, but still, it was all about matching patterns. The real game changer, the massive leap forward, was of course in the 2020s with generative AI. These models don't just match patterns, they actually create brand new human-sounding text from scratch. So how did we make that incredible jump from basic pattern matching to having a full-blown conversation? Well, the magic behind it all is a technology that's been in the works for a very, very long time. At its heart is something called natural language processing, or NLP. The easiest way to think about it is that NLP is the master translator between our messy human way of speaking and the super structured language that computers understand. It's the bridge that makes the whole conversation possible. Okay, so let's walk through this. When you send a message, the first thing NLP does is just clean it up, breaks it into pieces, fixes typos, but then comes the really crucial step, natural language understanding, or NLU. This is where the AI figures out what you actually want, that's your intent, and the key details, which are called entities. So if you ask, what time is it in Oslo, the intent is find the time and the entity is Oslo. Simple enough, right? And then finally, natural language generation, or NLG, takes that structured info and spins it back into a normal-sounding sentence for you. I love this analogy, it's perfect. The AI is basically a detective. It's not just reading your words. It's actively hunting for clues inside your sentence, the intent, the entities, all the little pieces of evidence it needs to crack the case and give you the right answer. Okay, so this tech is obviously super powerful, but what's the big deal? Why is basically every single company on the planet scrambling to get a chatbot? What's the promise here? Well, it pretty much boils down to one thing: money. A lot of money. $11 billion. That's the annual savings experts are predicting for just three sectors: banking, healthcare, and retail. When you see a number that big, you start to understand why this automation push is happening so fast. And you're seeing this pop up literally everywhere, right? Scheduling appointments, getting a first opinion on your symptoms, 24/7 customer service, getting help from HR, even things like personalized shopping or initial mental health support. Chatbots are becoming the new front door for a ton of different services in our lives. And the grand vision here, the big dream, is even wilder. It's this idea of technology democratization. It's not just about you talking to a company's chatbot. The idea is that you will have your own personal AI assistant to handle all the boring stuff for you, like making dinner reservations or scheduling meetings. A digital assistant for every single person. But that's only half the story. Yeah, because here's where we need to pull the curtain back a little further. That slick, seamless story of perfect automation, it's not the full picture. Not by a long shot. To make these AI systems seem so smart, there's a massive, often invisible human element. This quote right here, it just cuts right to the heart of it. That amazing, intelligent conversation you just had with an AI? Well, it was made possible by thousands and thousands of real people working behind the scenes. Let's talk about this shadow workforce. These are the human raters whose job it is to train the AI.
They check its answers, fix its mistakes, and, this is a huge one, they filter out all the toxic, violent, and just plain awful content. But these are often contract workers under incredible pressure with crazy tight deadlines doing really difficult and vital work for pretty low pay. Without them, that AI magic would just fall apart.
And that just opens up an even bigger, more difficult question. The labor issues are one thing, but what about the technology itself? What happens when we start using these automated systems in our most vulnerable, high-stakes, and deeply human moments? Okay, let's look at a really tough but incredibly important example, using chatbots to help victims of domestic violence. I mean, on the one hand, you can see the opportunity, right? A bot offers an anonymous, totally non-judgmental way to get information, which could be a lifeline for someone who's afraid to talk to a person. But the challenges are just immense. A bot has no empathy, it can't truly assess a person's risk, and who is responsible, who is held accountable if the bot gives bad advice or misses a desperate cry for help?
And really, it all comes down to this. This is what a survivor said. In those moments of deep crisis, what you want, what you long for, is human contact. And a chatbot, no matter how smart it is anything but humane. It's a tool, but it's not a person.
Okay, so where does that leave us? As we're building out this chatbot-filled future, how do we move forward? How do we balance the incredible potential of this technology with its very real dangers and limitations? We're facing some massive ethical hurdles, and 3 really big ones stand out. First, accountability. If an AI messes up and causes harm, who's responsible? The company, the developer? Then there's bias. These systems learn from us, and the internet is packed with human biases. We have to be so careful they don't just become giant amplifiers for our worst instincts. And of course, privacy. We're telling these bots our secrets, our health problems, our fears. We have to know that data is safe. So at the end of the day, this is the fundamental tension we're all wrestling with. On one side, you have this incredible promise of efficiency, of access, of automation. And on the other, you have the things that, at least for now, are irreplaceable and uniquely human. Our judgment, our empathy, and our ability to take care of each other's safety. And so that leaves us with this final, crucial question. Look, we know for a fact that AI is going to keep getting smarter. That's a given. The real challenge for all of us, for developers, for companies, for society as a whole, is how do we make sure that as it gets smarter, it also becomes wiser? How do we build a future where this powerful technology actually serves our humanity instead of just trying to replace it?